plump chicken-like bird found on the ground inside montane forest from extreme western Venezuela to extreme northern Peru. Dark brownish overall with a paler throat, messy vermiculation on the upper parts and flanks, and a warm tawny belly. Occurs from around 1,500 m 3,200 m within forest. Very rarely seen. Listen for its song, a series of repeated querulous notes. Rotund chicken-like bird, far more often heard than seen. Like a dove but body is even more circular and tail shorter. Most similar to great Tinamou but generally found at higher elevations. Also warmer rufous brown below with small buffy spots on back and grayer head. Lives on the ground in montane forests. Shy and difficult to see. Most often seen running away along a trail. Listen for series of repeated nasal call notes. Fairly large terrestrial bird of Andean cloud forest. It has a gray head, a white throat, white speckling on the wings, and faint barring on the belly, similar to white-throated Tinamou, but hooded has a grayer head, a less mottled neck, and a different voice, and is found at higher elevations. Very shy and solitary, heard far more often than seen. Song is a nasal O repeated every few seconds. Large, almost tailless game bird that lives on the ground in humid tropical lowlands, hunted for food and thus has been wiped out from many areas. Rarely seen, but haunting two-parted whistled song can be heard, especially early and late in the day and even at night. Sometimes flushes explosively from close range, crashing off through the forest understory. Plumage rather plain overall, warm brown above and grayish below, with grayish, not reddish, legs. Very large chicken-like bird, widespread across the Amazon basin, but nowhere common. Distinguished from other Tinamous by entirely gray plumage, with fine black barring on the upper parts, and some white speckling on the head. Gray Tinamou is also larger than other large species such as great and white-throated Tinamous, favors areas of upland forest and is most often encountered by voice, a single, short hollow whistle given at long intervals. Large, dumpy, almost tailless terrestrial inhabitant of the Atlantic forest, where it walks quietly through forests with an open understory. This Tinamou has a gray-brown barred back and vent, pale gray on the belly with a prominent pale stripe on the side of the neck. Very secretive, best identified by song, a series of frou whistles with long silences between them. secretive chicken-like bird that walks on the ground inside forests, very plump, looks tailless. A large Tinamou but smaller than similar great. If seen well, look for distinctive pale spotting on wings along with white throat and lower belly. Fairly common and widespread in lowland Amazonian forests, occasionally up into the foothills. Far more often heard than seen. Listen for its haunting song, a pair of low hoots, the second note rising. Large, rare Tinamou found in cloud forest along the east slope of the Andes. It is uniformly sooty gray, much darker and plainer than gray Tinamou. Rusty lower underparts are hard to see in the field. Like other forest Tinamous, it is far more likely to be heard than seen. Vocalizations include a low, drawn-out coo, like a dove's but longer, and a series of low, modulated whistles. A very dark, chicken-like bird found in lowland rainforest, in northwestern Ecuador and western Colombia. Plumage is dark gray, but can appear almost black in the shady rainforest understory. Legs, eye, and base of bill are reddish. No other Tinamou in range has uniformly dark plumage, shy and hard to see as it walks quietly on the ground inside the rainforest. Heard far more often than seen, its song is a short, high-pitched, descending whistle repeated every 10-15 seconds. Small dark Tinamou of tropical lowlands, entirely brownish-gray, found in the understory of rainforest, especially along streams and in areas with dense undergrowth. Listen for a short flat whistle, repeated about once every 4 seconds. Unbarred, dark rufous Tinamou with a gray face, throat, and belly, with a good view. Note the pale eyes, and orange base to the bill. Found at medium to high elevations in humid forest, on the slopes of a few tepuas, in southeastern Venezuela, northern Brazil, and southwestern Guyana. Rarely encountered unless voice is known. Song is a long and high-pitched whistle, fading at end, similar to Little Tinamou, which has a very different voice, but Tepui Tinamou is darker, and has pale eyes. A rusty-colored Tinamou with a grayish head and darker brown back. The vent is barred, but can be hard to see. Frequents humid forests, including second-growth forests, with a dense understory, where it is shy and hard to see. The song is a long series of loud ascending whistles. The pauses between them can be long or short. Small Tinamou with a red bill, purplish legs, purple back, gray head, and a black and white vent, similar to small-billed Tinamou, but the song starts with a fast trill, tree tree tree, and ends with a loud descending, true true true. Prefers moist forests including second growth and dense forest edges. Small unobtrusive Tinamou, which can be locally common in grasslands, savanna, and agricultural areas. Striking red bill and legs are its most notable features, otherwise largely gray with a brown back and scalloped vent. Similar Tatapa Tinamou has purple legs. The song is a long, descending trill of tree notes that finishes with a low, trulu trulu trulu, which can be heard all day. Sometimes just the last notes are sung. Secretive chicken-like bird that walks on the ground inside forest, very plump, looks tailless. A relatively small Tinamou with a striking pattern. Look for bright rufous neck contrasting with blackish upper parts distinctly barred with buff. Fairly common and widespread from western Amazonia to southeast Brazil, although it is rarely seen in dense understory of terra firm forest. Listen for its whistled song, a single long note followed by a pause, and then a series of shorter querulous rising notes. Furtive, almost tailless small game bird that lives on the ground in humid tropical lowlands. Favors forest edge and dense secondary growth rather than forest interior. Wind disturbed runs rather than flies. Very rarely seen. Sometimes crosses quiet roads or trails, but tremulous whistles are often heard, especially early and late in the day. Plumage is dark brownish overall with grayer head and whitish throat. Small Tinamou, a floodplain rainforest, reddish-brown with limited black barring on the wings, found in tall lowland rainforest, especially around water and in seasonally flooded areas, and can be quite common. Listen for a series of whistles, given at a pace of about 1 note per 4 seconds, that gradually accelerates until about twice as fast. Recalls the song of Cinrius Tinamou, but faster and usually accelerating. Very rare and poorly known Tinamou of remote lowland rainforest. Existing records suggest that it favors areas with sandy soil. Rather small for a Tinamou, with a chestnut head, a black back, wings marked with rusty bars, dingy underparts, and a pale throat. Few birders have ever seen it, and even hearing one requires some luck. Song is a series of whistles that starts out by accelerating and rising slightly in pitch, then slows down and falls towards the end. Small Tinamou, barred cinnamon, and black above, rusty below, with a pale belly, found mostly in seasonally flooded forests, but also recorded in upland forests, where it forages on the ground. The song is a series of musical whistles, starting slowly and accelerating towards the end. This Tinamou is medium-sized with a dark gray body and white throat. It is variably barred above and below. These undulations vary in intensity among subspecies. Like other Tinamous, shy and difficult to see, found in both wet and dry forests, preferring areas near rivers, but most often seen crossing roads or trails. Easily recognized by its voice, a far-carrying melancholic woo-hoo-hoo-hoo, repeated for long periods mostly in the early mornings and late afternoon. A very shy and hard to see Tinamou, endemic to Brazil. If views allow, note the heavily barred back and vent, roughest belly and throat, yellow legs, dark gray breast, and a pale well-marked eyebrow. Found in forest, scrub, and savanna. The voice is a series of mournful deep hoots. Woo-wah-wah-wah. Subtly colorful Tinamou of dense habitats in the lowlands and Andean foothills, almost exclusively found in bamboo thickets, but also occasionally found in dense riverside vegetation and secondary growth, including around agriculture. Rarely seen, but frequently heard throughout the day. It usually gives about one call note per minute, a springy whoa. The most helpful visual field mark is its bright orange legs. It also has a black or dark gray cap, and brown plumage with cold gray head and neck, and reddish-orange throat. Secretive chicken-like bird that walks on the ground inside forests, very plump, looks tailless. A distinctive Tinamou of dry forests, can even be detected as it noisily runs through dry leaf litter, visually striking with bright coral red legs, and heavily barred back and wings, more prominent on females. Also note pale eyebrow, otherwise grayish-brown overall, fairly common within limited range in southwestern Ecuador and northwestern Peru, occurs in dry scrubby forests and second growth, usually with fairly thick understory. More often heard than seen. Listen for its explosive, rising whistle. A furtive, tailless, gambird that lives on the ground in tropical woodland and forest, rarely seen, sometimes crosses quiet roads or trails, but haunting whistled song is often heard, especially early and late in the day. Note distinct pale barring on upper parts and bright reddish legs. Birds in West Mexico are paler and grayer overall. Those in East Mexico and Central America have a rusty colored breast and belly. A furtive, almost tailless game bird that lives on the ground in humid tropical forest of lowlands and foothills. Rarely seen, sometimes crosses quiet roads or trails, but mournful drawn-out song is often heard, especially early and late in the day. Plumage is dark overall with a grayish neck and breast. Female has distinct barring on upper parts. Prefers humid forest, rather than drier habitats where thicket Tinamou is found. A rare and poorly known chicken-like bird restricted to remote areas, in extreme southeast Panama and northwest Colombia. Like other forest-based Tinamous, this species walks on the ground and is very difficult to see. Occurs in mature foothill forests up to around 1,500 m. Dark brown overall with a blackish head, a slightly paler throat, and some darker barring on the belly and back. Legs reddish. Listen for its low mournful whistle, that rises slightly at the end. Shy, fowl-like bird of open forest and scrubby areas. Heard far more often than seen. Best identified by habitat and voice. Red legs are diagnostic. Forages alone or in pairs on ground in scrubby forests on sandy soils, walking slowly to pick up fruit, seeds and insects. Does not gather in flocks. Haunting song is a slow, rising series of 2-3 notes. It is similar to that of undulated Tinamou, but typically has fewer notes and lacks a strongly upslurred final note. Unobtrusive, poorly known Tinamou, mostly rusty colored with a scaly back and wings. Females are more boldly marked on the back and wings than males. Found at the edge of dense forests, and especially in white sand forests. The song is a rather short double whistle, woo-hoo-woo-woo. The similar variegated Tinamou has a grayish head, and more barring on the back. Dark, subtly patterned Tinamou, cold grayish-brown, with a more reddish head and variable black barring on the wings. Females are more strongly barred than males, usually found in mature upland rainforest. Its song is a distinctive long, flat whistle that is held for at least 5 seconds, sometimes much longer. Beware, in parts of their range there are similar sounding cicadas.